Hey, it's Nosh Pals here. We're here discussing some of my updates, upgrades to some of my firearms in my collection, my repertoire. Here we have the Millennium G2. I've had this for close to about a year or a little under a year, and it's proven to be a pretty reliable little, tool of protection, a little instrument of protection, a little tool of war. I've had to use it in numerous occasions, self-defense situations. Unfortunately and oddly, so quite unfortunate, when you have to use a firearm or use lethal force or the force of a firearm or any type of weapon to defend your life. But when you have no choice, you have no choice. And, you can't put a price on your life, so for what you're getting at $250 or $300, it's a pretty decent investment. It actually saved my life. I'll never get rid of this thing. It'll be an heirloom if I never fire it again, Be a collector's item. But it comes standard. The 12 round flush fit magazine. This is not the standard stock magazine base plate. I swapped that out. I had an older model of a Sky. I had a Sky CPX model with the external safety on it. I think it's CPX 1 maybe, or is it CPX 2 or CPX 1 I believe. But the base plates, I like those a lot because of the finger extension on there. It's more of a better, it's a better grip surface to rest my pinky on when firing a firearm, and I like those base plates, so I had them laying around, so I swapped the base plates out, the stock Taurus base plates on the magazine with the Sky base plates, and they work flawlessly, and no hiccups, no failures. Gives me a much better grip surface. It's actually, gives me room to spare, and I have small hands, but they're pretty large on a subcompact or compact frame handgun nonetheless, so that helps for firing. When I got the standard mags in, got both of them swapped out like that, pretty decent. It works. And I also came across this magazine option. I found a 33 rounder Pro Mag. This is the same magazine that fits the SIG P226 6 hour 9mm. This holds 33 rounds. Fits flawlessly in the Taurus PT111. There was a little bit of magazine wobble in the shoe. If you don't like the magazine wobble, you can barely hear it. Now you're just hearing the rounds in the magazine. You're not actually hearing the magazine hitting the frame of the inside of the polymer in the magazine well. Now it's just actually the actual ammunition inside the magazine tapping the metal, and that's delicate. I mean, you can't stop that all the time, so you can put up with that. It's the other magazine wobble that makes the magazine malfunction or have failure to feeds, or whatever malfunctions you can have, regarding the magazine, those type of issues. So what I did was I took the liberty of placing some electrical tape around the mid area of the magazine, where it just connects to the inside of the magazine well, where it basically evens it out to whereas the magazine isn't wobbling around. It gives it a layer of support in between, and it makes it more of a quiet magazine. It eliminates the noise and the wobble, and I don't see why it shouldn't help the magazine, cycle more reliably. I'll try that out at the range. I also got the aftermarket laser on there. Nothing fancy schmancy, just decent, windage elevation adjustments. It's decent out to 100 meters. Pretty good. As you can see, no one's here, so I got the house to myself, so we're safe right now. As you can see, pretty decent picture on that. pretty decent. Pretty decent. And I'm liking that. I've got the Laser Max. I got the Laser Max Spartan to go on here to match the green night sights. The Meprolite H3s. True Dot night sights. Pretty decent. Tritium inserts. They're so bright, man. They're so bright it's almost like they run on battery power or electricity or something. Solar power or something. It's awesome. But, you know, pretty decent sights. Went ahead and swapped those stocks out. Couldn't stand the ball and bucket sights. They're just horrible, and, you know, in a dark, low light situation, the ball and bucket is not going to do you much good. Unless you have, you know, a flashlight or some type of light illuminating your target area or your point of aim and, you know, point of impact and all that. You got to know what your target is and what lies beyond. And, you know, adding night sights gives you a better, you know, sight picture in a low light situation, making you, you know, a safer shot to take. You know, you got to think about collateral damage and innocent bystanders, and, you know, you just have to be certain of your target. But also the G23 Gen 4. I've also installed the maritime spring cups, so now it's a marine Glock, maritime Glock. Could be fired underwater if needed, or fresh out of water if either the firearm is dropped in water or submerged or becomes submerged. It will fire reliably, or can be fired more reliably than not without the maritime spring cup. So it's a good application, you know, ability to have if ever you need it. You never know. I do a lot of traveling to Florida, do a lot of water, you know, wading, you know, a lot of water activities with the children, you know, a lot of wildlife in Florida, and you can't control what gets in everywhere. Don't know what's what, you know, just in case. It's best to have a firearm that you can use just in case. Hate to be out there in the water and need a firearm that does not work in water. Or need a firearm that, you know, you can't use in water. It's just, you know, it's a plus for the maritime spring cups added on, you know. Also, it's Gen 4, a lot of people don't know, it's got the reversible magazine release. I got mine reversed, so on the right hand side, so that I can release the magazine with my trigger finger or index finger instead of a thumb. Thumb release is standard, you know, it's universal. I mean, it's, you know, it's common. It's the most common, you know, release besides, you know, other release styles. You know, of course, you have the European style and the underneath style, you know. I like mine's on this side. It just, I don't know. Me being a right-handed shooter, when I unload the magazine, I don't have to use my trigger finger. I can use my middle finger to do it as well. Just put trigger finger on the side of the slide in the memory groove. With this being a Glock, I can actuate pretty well. You know, it's not bad at all. You know, you're done, boom, done. Reload. But I also was able to pick up this 22 round magazine for the Glock. It's an OEM standard Glock factory 22 round magazine for 40 cal. Protrudes slightly. It's not too ridiculous. It's still very concealable. It's not too ridiculous. I could conceal this very comfortably underneath my garments and still hide it. You know, this magazine does not protrude very much depending on how you carry it. You know, some people like to carry at a high 5 o'clock angle. I carry mine high 5 o'clock, you know, with the tilt. You know, I have my magazine tilt, you know, up a little bit more, you know. So, you know, basically the bore is tilted basically at a slight angle instead of straight down at a horizontal or vertical angle. Is canted slightly from a vertical, from a horizontal, or yes, from a vertical, excuse me. Canted slightly from a vertical, you know. So that makes this magazine very concealable, it being 22 rounds. Some of these magazines, some owners are lucky, you can squeeze 23 in. Mine's, luckily, I'm one of those owners, so I can fit 23 in here pretty comfortably with no problem. And by the way, these have been safety checked. There's nothing in either of these. As you can see, that chamber is empty. That chamber is empty. Empty as can be. And we have the loaded chamber indicator, which is flush with the frame. It's flat, which means there's no round in the chamber. This gun is safe, it is clear. Same applies for the Taurus. Taurus is clear. As we can see, there's nothing in the chamber. This is a one-handed press check over the top of the slide using my two forefingers. As you can see, it's an unorthodox hold, but it's a technique that I've been developing for years. I've done it ever since I was younger. I don't know, since you have to get the right perfect grip on it. Everyone could do it. I'm not the first in the world to do it, but anyways, just a little bit of my technique. But gun is safe. But back to our regularly scheduled program. I also was able to pick up this SGM Tactical 31 rounder from our 40. It protrudes just a bit more than the 22 rounder, and it has a higher profile. It's not concealable at all underneath the shirt, so if you're thinking of concealability, you're going to want to go with the smaller flush magazine or something closer to 22 or 15 round magazines, 17 round magazines for the 40. That'll be more concealable on a compact or subcompact. Now, on a full size, of course, this is not going to be concealable at all. This is a G23 Gen 4. This is a compact. Subcompact is the G27. I own that. I've owned the G4, the Gen 4 G27. I like it, but it's a bit snappy for a small frame pistol. The 40 caliber should be fired out of more of a Glock 23, Glock 19 frame size pistol. It's just more reasonable for the caliber. 9mm, something smaller. It's just practically I'll buy a 40 and a Glock. 9mm, I would have to say I would have to go with a different company on the 9mm. I mean, the Glock 26 comparison to the PT-111, you got 10 rounds in the G26. In the PT-111, you got 12 rounds. Plus you got, all these magazine, options for the Glock. You still have magazine options for the Taurus as well. Thank God for CXR. And 6 hour isn't the only. I think Canic TP9s fit as well. TP9 magazines for the Canics, they work as well. But pretty decent options on that. I was gonna get some night sights, and also without maritime spring cups, the PT-111 fires underwater, so that's a plus as well. I was gonna get some night sights for it sooner or later. Pretty expensive right now, but for the meantime, I have the laser sighting, which is pretty decent. That is it. That is all. Nosh Piles. Over and out.